Hello and welcome to Rajat TV. You're watching In Depth. I'm your host, Rajat Kain. Well, the coronavirus pandemic has focused world attention on one of the basic needs of living beings, that is food. Now, as coronavirus crisis unfolded, it brought in its wake huge disruptions in food supply chains. As food providers stayed indoors, food production suffered. People's incomes fell. They couldn't buy food to feed families, and as supplies were affected, food prices increased in many countries. The World Bank estimates that the COVID-19 impacted food production in 23 countries. The crisis affected poor and vulnerable, including 690 million people who were already chronically food insecure before COVID-19 crisis. Now, recognizing this, the Nobel Peace Prize this year was awarded to World Food Programme that feeds millions of people worldwide. On the World Food Day, we'll look at the issue of hunger and how global agencies have made efforts to fill the gaps in food security needs of countries worldwide. World Food Day is observed on October 16th every year. The day also coincides with the 75th year of Food and Agriculture Organization that was set up to promote sustainable food systems that deliver affordable and healthy diets for everyone, including the most vulnerable population. Let's take a look at the significance the World Food Day holds for us.
Somos las raíces que nutren.
每一位粮食英雄都发挥着重要作用。
Nous devons nourrir le monde.
È giunto il momento di risollevarsi.
Together, we can make a difference.
To lives and communities everywhere.
Нам нужна устойчивая продовольственная система.
لأن مصيرنا واحد.
October 16th, World Food Day. It's dedicated towards tackling global hunger. The day marks the creation of the Food and Agriculture Organization in 1945 with a commitment to improve lives. The observance of World Food Day started in 1979 to commemorate the founding of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. Multiple events are organized in different parts of the world to raise awareness and action on hunger to ensure food security and nutritious diet for all. FAO works to build long-term resilience and sustainability while also supporting short-term solutions for vulnerable communities, especially those that are already grappling with other emergencies such as acute hunger, conflict or disease.
In a world of plenty, it is a grave affront that hundreds of millions go to bed hungry each night. The COVID-19 pandemic has further intensified food insecurity to a level not seen in decades. Some 130 million people risk being pushed to the brink of starvation by the end of this year. We need to make food systems more resistant to volatility and climate shocks. We need to ensure sustainable and healthy diets for all and to minimize food waste. And we need food systems that provide decent, safe livelihoods for workers. We have the know-how and the capacity to create a more resilient, equitable and sustainable world. On this World Food Day, let us make a commitment to grow, nourish and sustain together.
Along with producing enough food, FAO calls for sustainable food systems that deliver affordable and healthy diets for everyone, including the most vulnerable. The organization now has more than 194 member states and works in over 130 countries worldwide. The FAO is observing its 75th anniversary this year with the theme Grow, Nourish and Sustain Together. Efforts to ensure that our food systems grow a variety of food to nourish a growing population and sustain the planet can be undertaken by countries, private sector and individuals. Bureau Report, Rajat Television.
More than 2 billion people today do not have regular access to enough safe, nutritious food. About 135 million people across 55 countries experience acute hunger, requiring urgent food, nutrition and livelihood assistance. Add to this challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic. World Food Day this year comes at a time when the world is facing unprecedented threats to food security, nutrition, and livelihood.
World Food Day in 2020 is taking place amid the novel coronavirus disease or COVID-19 that has claimed over lakhs of lives globally. In addition to the health and socio-economic toll, COVID-19 has deepened the hunger crisis across the world. It has created new epicenters of hunger in many countries. According to the UN World Food Programme, COVID-19 could almost double the number of people suffering from acute hunger, pushing it to more than 250 million by the end of 2020. As a result of the economic impact of COVID-19, people facing acute food insecurity is expected to reach 265 million in 2020, up by 130 million in 2019. Another study estimates the number of people undernourished worldwide could rise from 690 million to 820 million because of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, food insecurity itself is a global challenge and predates the coronavirus. The majority of people suffering acute food insecurity in 2019 were in countries affected by conflict, which affected 77 million people, climate change affecting 34 million people, and economic crisis affecting 24 million people. The number of people who are severely food insecure around the world has risen nearly 70% in the last 4 years. 10 countries constituted the worst food crisis in 2019. Yemen, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Afghanistan, Venezuela, Ethiopia, South Sudan, Syria, and the Sudan, Nigeria, and Haiti. The world has made significant progress in the fight against poverty, hunger, and malnutrition. However, the cumulative challenges, hunger, and the opposite, obesity, environmental degradation, food loss, and waste are some of the issues that underline an imbalance. Although more than enough food is being produced to feed everyone, yet too many people suffer from malnutrition. Even before the pandemic, over 2 billion people did not have regular access to enough safe and nutritious food, and nearly 700 million people go to bed hungry. In such circumstances, the COVID-19 health crisis has added to these challenges. World Food Day this year is calling for global solidarity to help all populations, and especially the most vulnerable, to recover from the crisis and to make food systems more resilient and robust so that they can withstand increasing volatility and climate shocks, deliver affordable and sustainable healthy diets for all, and decent livelihoods for food system workers. Preserving access to safe and nutritious food is an essential part of the response to the COVID-19 pandemic, particularly for poor and vulnerable communities who are hit hardest by the pandemic and resulting economic shocks. This requires improved social protection schemes and new opportunities offered through digitization and e-commerce, but also more sustainable agricultural practices that preserve the Earth's natural resources, our health, and the climate. Bureau Report, Rajat TV.
Well, even as coronavirus pandemic pushes millions more into hunger, the World Food Programme was awarded Nobel Peace Prize for the year 2020 for feeding millions of people from Yemen to North Korea. The World Food Programme, a United Nations body's world's largest humanitarian organization addressing hunger and promoting food security. Here is a detailed report on this organization's journey. The Nobel Peace Prize for the year 2020 was given to United Nations Food Agency, the World Food Programme. The award acknowledges its effort to combat hunger and improve conditions for peace in areas affected by conflict.
The Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided to award the Nobel Peace Prize for 2020 to the World Food Programme for its efforts to combat hunger, for its contribution to bettering conditions for peace in conflict-affected areas, and for acting as a driving force in efforts to prevent the use of hunger as a weapon of war and conflict.
The Rome-based organization, previously nominated for the prize in the year 2018, said it helps at least 97 million people in about 88 countries each year. According to World Food Programme, 1 in 9 people worldwide still don't have enough to eat. The World Food Programme is the driving force behind efforts to prevent the use of hunger as a weapon of war and conflict, with the COVID-19 outbreak further boosting its relevance.
The World Food Programme is the world's largest humanitarian organization addressing hunger and promoting food security. Last year, the WFP provided assistance to close to 1 million people in 88 countries who are victims of acute food insecurity and hunger.
Thanking the Norwegian Nobel Committee, the World Food Programme said the prize is a powerful reminder to the world that peace and zero hunger go hand in hand. World Food Programme Executive Director David Beasley said he was overwhelmed and without words after United Nations organizations won the 2020 Nobel Peace Prize. Beasley called the award a call to action to our donors around the world. To the billionaires who are making billions off COVID, it's a call to action to not let anyone die from starvation.
Well, to me personally, and to WFP, it's a call to action, because I believe that the Nobel Peace Prize Committee recognizes that hunger is a driving cause of conflict, and literally so many people around the world are on the brink of starvation. It's a call to action. It's a call to action to our donors around the world, to the billionaires who are making billions off of COVID. It's a call to action to not let anyone die from starvation. It's a call to action that we've got to save and help our friends, our brothers, our sisters around the world. All the wealth in the world today, no one should go to bed hungry, much less starve to death.
Whether delivering food by helicopter or on the back of an elephant or a camel, the World Food Programme prides itself in being the leading humanitarian organization in the world, where, by its own estimate, some 690 million people, that is 1 in 11, go to bed on an empty stomach. The organization runs a logistics service that has dispatched medical cargoes to over 120 countries throughout the pandemic to help governments and health partners fighting COVID-19 pandemic. It also has provided passenger services to ferry humanitarian and health workers where commercial flights were unavailable. The World Food Programme is one of the 3 UN food aid organizations based in Rome. Its sister bodies are Food and Agriculture Organization, that is FAO, and the International Fund for Agricultural Development. The organization is currently dealing with 6 food emergencies besides COVID. These are in Democratic Republic of Congo, northeastern Nigeria, Sahel, South Sudan, Syria, and Yemen.
The Nobel Peace Prize and awarding the Nobel Peace Prize to WFP is a sign that alongside fighting this health pandemic, we absolutely have to prevent a hunger pandemic and a hunger catastrophe. And this prize bolsters that effort. It shows the importance of fighting hunger. It shows the importance of building peace and how these two things are interconnected.
In the 6 decades since it was founded, the World Food Programme has now grown to become the world's largest humanitarian agency, providing aid to almost 100 million people in more than 80 countries. The organization has widened its operational remit, and it's now a leading provider of not just emergency food aid, but also an agency engaged in supporting the nutritional requirement of communities through food assistance programs.
Now, the World Food Programme cooperation in India goes a long way, over 50 years. In fact, this year we are celebrating the 50 years of partnership, but our programs, tactic and strategy and input shifted our focus. In the past, we were involved in direct food support as well as program even involving imported food, but with India's self-sufficiency in food production, we move towards more bringing innovative practices, a broad element of experiences from a global point of view, and also join hand in addressing nutritional challenges, work in climate change issues, evidence, and expanding South-South cooperation.
These vary from supporting school meals projects in different countries, including India, to provisions of cash and vouchers as complement to in-kind food distributions. Bureau Report, Rajat TV. Well, as part of its effort to tackle disruptions unleashed by the COVID-19 pandemic, the central government made food distribution a key element of its strategy. Soon after COVID-19 outbreak, Prime Minister Modi initiated food ration distribution programs from April to June that were extended till November 2020. The government's decision to start Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana within days of nationwide lockdown also ensured that poorest of poor were not left hungry. Here is a detailed report. Strengthening India's food policy has been a primary focus area for Modi government. Ensuring the interest of farmers is also a key feature of this emphasis. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit India on March 26, 2020, the Narendra Modi-led NDA government announced 1.7 lakh crore relief package under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana to help the poor tide over the crisis. The initiative was an attempt to reach out to poorest of the poor and help them with food and money to meet essential needs. The government started world's biggest food security welfare scheme, the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, to feed the poorest citizens. 80 crore people, or roughly 2/3 of India's population, were covered under the scheme. Under the scheme, 5 kg of rice or wheat per person and 1 kg of dal are provided to each family holding a ration card. The scheme was extended till end of November 2020. Prime Minister emphasized that feeding the needy during lockdown was the foremost priority of the country.
There was certainly some concern, particularly because the first few months of the lockdown, people had not had the jobs and their livelihood were affected. But the good thing was the government came in immediately with the huge packages to support people with the extra food requirement, both rice or wheat, 5 kilo, and then pulses, doubling from the existing public distribution program, covering over 820 million people. And that was a great step to ensure food security for the people.
Over 80 crore beneficiaries under National Food Security Act, or the NFSA, were provided additional rations of 5 kg of wheat or rice per person and 1 kg of pulses per household every month for free of cost. This is over and above their regular entitlement under the Public Distribution System, or the PDS, which includes 35 kgs of food grains per month to households eligible under Antyodaya Anna Yojana and 5 kg of food grains per person per month to priority households beneficiaries at subsidized cost of Rs 2 per kg of wheat and Rs 3 per kg of rice. Several states provided the entire quota of ration free of cost to NFSA beneficiaries, along with the additional free ration under PMGKAY.
Extensive effort doubling the delivery of food by railways, which was unprecedented efforts. At times, there were challenges that the migrant worker without ration cards were not getting food, and there were concerns related to that. But the state showed flexibility in terms of including those people, giving new rations, and those problems were addressed. And this extra food ration, which is being given by the government, were extended from April until coming November. I think that's an excellent step.
Prime Minister Modi also approved a proposal to extend the benefit of Rs 6,000 per year under PM Kisan scheme to all farmers in the country. Pradhan Mantri Kisan Pension Yojana was also announced, under which small and marginal farmers will get a minimum fixed pension of Rs 3,000 per month on attaining the age of 60 years. Modi government has also set a goal of doubling farm incomes by the year 2022 and is working with multi-modal focus towards achieving the same. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana is the biggest risk cover and safety net provided by the government. The government has also clubbed together 11 schemes and missions in agriculture space into an umbrella scheme called Green Revolution Krishnonati Yojana. These schemes look to develop the agriculture and allied sector in holistic and scientific manner to increase farmers' income by enhancing production, productivity, and better returns on the produce. India's food security umbrella has many elements to tackle hunger and malnutrition. The first is National Food Security Act, passed in the year 2013. It covers 75% population and 50% urban population. It offers uniform entitlement of 5 kg of cereals per person per month at highly subsidized prices. In addition, the Antyodaya Anna Yojana provides highly subsidized food to millions of poorest of poor families, with every BPL family entitled to 35 kilos per household per month. The public distribution system also aims to ensure food security by providing food and non-food items to poor at subsidized rates. Under the midday meal scheme, lakhs of children are served freshly cooked meals in government and government-aided schools. Through the National Nutrition Strategy of 2017, government has envisioned a malnutrition-free India by the year 2022. With inputs from Aruna Thakur, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the number of undernourished people has come down by almost half in past 20 years, owing to rapid increase in economic growth and agriculture productivity. However, extreme hunger and malnutrition still remains a huge barrier to development. As of 2017, 821 million people were chronically undernourished, while over 90 million children under 5 were dangerously underweight. To fight the growing incidence of hunger, the United Nations has made zero hunger as its second Sustainable Development Goal, with the aim to end all forms of hunger and malnutrition by the year 2030. In our next report, we'll tell you what SDG 2 entails, what are the challenges as we move towards zero hunger, and what we as a society can do to fight global hunger.
2030 is the year that the world has set as its target to achieve certain goals in the path leading to sustainable development. Of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals put forth by the United Nations, the second one deals with zero hunger. Ending hunger and malnutrition and having sustainable and resilient, climate-compatible agriculture and food systems that deliver for people and the planet is at the core of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. SDG 2 requires comprehensive efforts to ensure that every man, woman and child enjoy their right to adequate food. Women are empowered and priority is given to family planning. This is proposed to be done through a series of pathways for action, which include leaving no one behind, human rights, coherent policies and coordinated action at national, regional and global level, inclusive multi-stakeholder stewardship at all levels, transformational implementation, investment in sustainable production and consumption, including sustainable food and nutrition systems, women as mothers, farmers and entrepreneurs, reshaping agriculture and food systems in the face of climate change. The Zero Hunger Challenge was launched by the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon in 2012. Since its launch, ZHC has inspired action at country level and contributed to ensuring that food and nutrition security and sustainable agriculture have remained high on the global development agenda. With world hunger reaching dizzying heights every day, over 800 million people struggling to get food at all and risk starvation. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations helps countries to fight hunger, with zero hunger being its #1 mission. It does so with the help of several goals. Food security guarantees access to healthy food for people every day. Food grown on Earth is enough to feed every last person on the planet, but it is down to governments, organizations and individuals to distribute this food fairly, ensuring that no one goes empty stomach. Good nutrition will help make sure that people get all the nutrients they need to live well and encourage responsible, environment-friendly eating habits. Sustainable agriculture promotes the use of fields, forests, oceans, and all natural resources essential for food production without damaging the planet. Poverty eradication. Poverty is often the direct cause of malnutrition because when people can't afford healthy food or food in general, they tend to get ill more easily. So what can you and I do to tackle global hunger? Governments, private sector companies, and ordinary people need to come together and work towards a world that does not know hunger. Governments and political leaders have a key role in the fight against poverty and hunger. Governments need to monitor the market so that prices are fair for all farmers, big or small. They need to keep large corporations in check so that they respect and protect the rights of local people. Governments must also promote healthy eating, invest more in research, and focus on developing rural areas. Around 90% of farms in the world are family-owned, producing food not only for the family but also for the rural community they live in. These farmers can play a huge role in Mission Zero Hunger by coming together as cooperatives, thereby improving their access to resources and maximizing their profits. They can also adapt to climate change and develop common strategies for sustainable cultivation. These small farmers also include communities that live off forestry, fishery, and pastoralism. The fight against hunger needs innovation with the support of the private sector. This includes companies that work in agriculture and services related to it. Companies in the financial sector that can give poorer farming families access to funds, and multinational corporations that can use large areas of land responsibly, making sure that local people are not pushed away from their farms, jobs, or homes. A quarter of the food lost or wasted each day globally is enough to feed all people hungry in the world. So, ensure that you buy and eat only what is necessary. Say no to plastic packaging and eat leftovers. Droughts are becoming more and more common, even in countries where there used to be plenty of water. So it is important to save water in whatever way we can, including small everyday measures like fixing leaks, using rain or grey water to water plants, using a bucket to bathe, and turning off the tap while brushing your teeth. And lastly, buy local. When you shop from local farmers, you end up supporting local economic growth, and the journey between people and produce is shorter. This, in turn, leads to less emissions, less pollution, and overall healthier world. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, that's it. Thanks for watching In Depth. We'll come back with more informating stories in our next episode. Thanks for watching Rajya Sabha TV.